All right, good evening. We will call this meeting to order. Heritage Conservation District Historical Commission, meeting August 21st. Just as a reminder, we're a recommending body. We'll recommend to City Council, and then they will take formal action there. Item number 1 for the minutes. We have a soundtrack for the meeting. All right, item number 1 is the approval of the minutes from the July 17th meeting. Is there a motion for that?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? All right, all in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. All right, motion carries. We've 2 items on the agenda tonight. So first is 618 South Prince Street. If the applicant can come forward up here this evening. And if the mic's not turned on, I'm going to turn the mic on. Suzanne, do you have initial comments or abbreviated comments you want to? Okay, that's fine. I didn't think so. I just wanted to check.
I do have some handouts for you.
Okay, if you want to pass those out, we'll take those. Thank you. And then if you want to introduce yourself, introduce the project, and then we can get going.
My name is Eric Vosberg with Vosberg Architects, and I'm here to represent the plan located at 618 South Prince Street. What we're planning on doing is there's an existing storage building. It's a cinder block storage building that's on the lot now. We're planning to build essentially a residential home, group home, in its place with just a little bit of an addition. What's there now is kind of like a 1-story with a dock sort of structure, and we're essentially going to build a 2-story residence in its place. And in your handout, you should see a site plan that kind of gives you an idea in its proximity to the street. Essentially, the face of the building, the new building, is the face of that storage building. So we're trying to respect that in terms of where that is. The main reason why we're doing that is because the parking requirements and the available parking that's there, we want to preserve. So that is why we're trying to move that toward the back of the property. This essentially is going to be a wood frame building. Structurally, it's going to be a wood frame building. Exterior of the building will have a vinyl siding or a metal siding. The vertical, if you look at the elevations, at the east elevation, it says above the entrance, it says metal siding panel. Essentially what that is, it's a board and batten, simulated board and batten metal vertical siding. Then you'll see metal siding panel that's horizontal. Essentially, that's like a 6-inch exposure metal siding. And then, of course, the brick, which is actually a thin brick, but it would be a reddish colored brick that would fit in with the rest of the brick that's kind of in the area. Colors essentially are a dark roof, kind of a colonial gray siding, and of course I mentioned the brick is being red. The columns for the portico would be a fiberglass Tuscan style square column that would be painted, probably a white or slightly off-white. And the windows are all a vinyl, sort of in the same style as the neighboring, if you're looking at the street, kind of to the left, the existing property. So they're basically a double hung window. And with that, I think I'll open it up to any questions you guys may have.
So just to reiterate the materials, because you don't have samples, right? So you have product data or manufacturers that you were thinking of
yeah.
for shingles, metal panel?
Yeah, so GAF would probably be the shingles.
Okay,
Metal siding would probably be MBCI or some other metal
Okay.
manufacturer such as that. The brick would probably be a Glengarry thin brick, and of course, the columns would probably be an HB&G, fiberglass columns.
Okay.
The rest of the trims and things would probably be an AZEK type PVC, or a metal trim, which we would actually probably bend as
Right.
needed.
all right. Any questions or comments from the commission?
And this is probably just a Danielle comment. I don't understand mixing the vertical and horizontal siding, on the front facade. Typically, when I think of horizontal siding, I think of like an outbuilding or an agricultural building, not necessarily a residential building, but that's my only comment. I don't have any other objections.
You said
Yeah.
the vertical was board and batten, was the horizontal something different?
The horizontal is basically like a horizontal 6-inch exposure, like you normally.
Like a
would
lap
see,
siding.
Lap siding,
Okay.
yeah. And the only reason really to do the vertical was just to break up the facade, so it wasn't just all horizontal lines throughout there.
Provide a level of interest there just on the front. Okay.
It's just a general question. I do apologize if you mentioned this right in the beginning because I was shuffling around, but just the layout of the lot itself, instead of pulling it forward, parking, I assume, is the main reason, but any reason as to why keeping that kind of void on the lot, void on the street, as opposed to bringing that to the forward and maybe having parking in the rear of the
The issue with parking in the rear is it would only allow us to have basically a one-way
in and out?
drive to
Yeah.
get to the back, which doesn't really work out too well. And then we actually lose some of that parking space back there because of how the lot is. It drops off in the back.
Okay.
We'd probably have to put in a retaining wall or something just to bring it up enough to put more parking back there. So in the interest of not spending tons of money just to get the same amount of parking that's already there, we try to keep it to the front.
Thanks.
Have you gone to zoning already? Do you need,
Yes, we talked to zoning.
Yeah.
And they said if we use the existing footprint of the storage building, that we don't have to respect the build-to line, which would bring it toward the front. So it's also one of the reasons why we're sticking with the storage building that's there now.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Yeah, it seems okay as, even if it's set back. If there aren't any other comments or questions, does somebody want to make a motion? There's some information in your packet for that. Okay, we need one for demolition first and then one for new construction. Okay. Before you do that real quick, is there any comment from the questions or the public on this item? All right, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that City Council approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed demolition. Demolish a modern one-story concrete block warehouse building at 618 South Prince Street to allow new construction on the site. This work meets the Secretary of Interior Standard Number 1. Suzanne, do we need to read that? Okay, it was just for,
Is there or any discussion? Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and then we need a motion for the new construction. Gonna take that, Danielle, as well.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that City Council approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed new construction. Construct a new two-story building at 618 North Prince Street per the submitted architectural plans and proposed building materials. This work meets the Secretary of Interior Standards 9 and the design standards. Do we need to, because I know there was a question about vinyl or metal, do we need to say anything about that?
No, it can be as presented.
Okay.
Any comments? Other comments? Second? Is there a second? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, motion carries.
They are a recommending body only. It has to go on to city council because demolition is involved, even though it's not an historic building. It often starts at city council committee level, which would be September 5th, but I will check with the city clerk whether they really want to see this kind of building. If not, it would go on to the full council meeting at September 12th. But I should let you know tomorrow or the next day which one you have to attend. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 10 North Market Street, if representatives want to come forward for that. This was presented previously in April. It's conceptual. No, this is for one vote. When you're ready, if you want to introduce yourself and then go through the updates for us.
It doesn't have the right adapt. I don't have the right adapt. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
We appreciate you hearing us again.
Yeah.
We were here first time and you gave some recommendations and some other things you wanted to see, so I think we've done most of them. You have our original presentation and, which included pictures of other balconies in the historic district.
I guess.
One of the things you weren't thrilled with was we used a material that looked like, almost like a chain link fence, but just to make it look innocuous. And you didn't seem to care for that, so this picture up there is what we're thinking of doing, just straight posts with a little detail at the top. We're really not stuck on the design of it. Nobody seems to be strongly opinionated, so if you like that, it's simpler, very simple. That's something we can live with. We did some artist renderings to show what it would look like first. And up on the screen now, we have, you wanted the exact east elevation of what it would look like from an architect's standpoint with exact measurements. And that's what it would appear like on the building. One comment that came from the council last time was about destroying the continuity of all the windows. I've got to tell you, none of our windows are consistent. There's 3 different sizes, 3 different widths, 3 different lengths. The Hager building was built in 3 sections. The center section was built first, and then the front, which is the more historic part, was built, and then the back was built as a warehouse. So, there's 3 distinct parts to the building, and each part has its own size windows and things like that. There is no consistency on that side. As you know, we've talked to, I met there with the fire chief, and you have a copy of the letter from the fire chief, who not only recommends it or supports it, but says it makes their job a lot easier as far as rescuing people from a balcony rather than a window.
And this is the other. The other one that's up there.
Yeah, the other one is the
Grant
north
Street.
side render, which is on Grant Street. We've talked to all the restaurants down below. They're in favor of this. C'est La Vie and Danny Falcone's building a new sports bar. We're trying to create a more community feeling on Market Street. The city wants to make it a pedestrian-only street. We just think this adds to the character of making it feel pedestrian-like and people-like. We have homeowners here from our building who are all in favor. We already had to get an 80% vote by all the condominium unit owners to be able to even come here and present tonight. So this is something we think would add to the character of downtown, and most of the people in our building, I can tell you, are huge supporters of downtown, and they love being downtown. And this is what we'd like. And we think we've jumped through more of your hoops.
Yeah, these are certainly helpful, for sure.
Do what?
They're helpful. The images and the measured elevations are great. Any comments or questions on these?
I have a couple. I'm just looking, at the Secretary of Interior standards. Have you put any thought or discussed with the contractor or whoever the design professional is about attachment to the building and being reversible?
Being what?
Reversible.
Reverse.
You mean
You
taking
take them
it-
off?
Taking it off?
At some point, if somebody would want to revert back to the original.
Well, I think I can answer that. We've contacted.
Thank you.
We've contacted both a structural engineer and an architect. We haven't contracted with them yet because this is still schematic design as far as that, but we looked at the structural engineering of it, and what we're trying to do is attach you can see the diagonal going there. That's going to have a plate that goes back through the brick wall with minimal damage to the brick itself, to keep that, as neatly as we can. What we were trying to do is attach the load to the diaphragm of the existing wood structure, to either the structural members themselves. We run into two interesting parts because we're going both parallel and perpendicular to the existing framing. But the idea is to take the structural load into the wood flooring itself that spread the weight out. So it's as minimalist as we can damage to the existing brick
Okay.
at this point.
And I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that like a porch roof would be, are you running the joist out, like you're going to attach the joist? Is that what you mean?
No, we're not
Flooring?
running.
The flooring threw me.
Yeah, no, we're not running the joist out. No,
Okay,
no.
so then-
We're going back through the brick and attaching to the existing wood frame inside with a thin metal plate at this point. And there will be some attachment screws at this point, but we're not planning on tearing big chunks of brick out at this point, no.
And what about the windows that you're removing for the door?
We're doing, what we would like to do is just take out the existing window and lowering the windowsill. And most of the windowsills are within like 30 inches or less to the floor level.
Mhm.
So we're not damaging anything of the head of the window or the sides to the window. It's just the sill themselves.
Right, you're going to have to cut down into the brick
Right,
to
right.
make it level.
Mhm.
Are the windows that are there, are they original to the building?
No.
Okay.
no.
Did you gain public works right-of-way approval? They have your balconies extend into the DPW?
Yeah, what we found out was we actually have a 4-foot easement that we can come out.
Okay.
There's, if you look on Market Street, there's two different kinds of brick, and it runs to the second brick.
Okay.
So there is an easement there.
Okay.
That saves us a lot of hassle. Yes, we're going out 5 feet.
Commission, they will need an easement from via Public Works, but approved by City Council.
The fire chief said we didn't, as long as we stayed, he said you only need that if you're below a certain height. I mean, that's at least what he said. He
So-
said as long as we're above 13 foot 6 inches off the ground, then we could come out 5 feet.
Yeah, 13.6 would be for the truck, just so it can drive underneath.
But there is a separate easement that needed to be extended from 4 feet to 5 feet. I mean, it's not under our purview here, but. Any other thoughts?
Just to confirm too, this was like an opt-in type of thing for the residents. This wasn't going to be uniform across the facade. It's whoever wanted one could get one, right?
We sort of got approval from just about from everyone who is applicable for a balcony that's going to get one.
So when we approve this, or if we approve it, I guess, what is shown is what's approved. So if for some reason you had 3 people bail or something on
Okay.
random balconies, then that would require some other different approval. Like, as we're looking at it, we're looking at the continuity of the balconies that are attached or that are shown in those locations. So if
Some of you had a problem with the continuity and others didn't seem to mind the scattered look. I don't know. I forget who was in favor or who was against.
But regardless of that, we're approving what's shown.
Okay.
So if it happened to change,
That's the, if everyone wanted one, that's what it would look like. So
Yeah.
that if someone wanted to put one on later, that's what it would look like. We're trying to get approval so that we're covering.
He's
our
saying
bases.
they're approving it the way it
Yeah.
is, which with everyone.
yeah, I mean, the building permit then would have to be for all 15 of them.
Okay.
It's the kike and all or nothing, I think, as far as we're approving it. If something happened to change and you need to come back and eliminate
Okay.
a row or something like that, then
All right.
we could do that. We could discuss that. I mean, I think it's great. I think the additional information here with the measured elevations and the renderings and kind of the regimented order to it makes a lot of sense. And I think it'll be like a nice addition to that area. So it's a good idea. And I think, like you said, you answered the questions that we had last time, I believe.
Yeah.
Unless anybody else has any other questions. Any comments or questions from the public? Assuming the crew over there is in favor of it, so. Is there a motion to approve the drawings as submitted? Or recommend to approve the drawings as submitted?
Happy to do that, but I have a question.
Yes.
It says 12 balconies versus, what did we say, 15?
I think it's 12 on Market Street and 3 on Grant Street.
Oh, okay, I see that.
12, yes,
Okay.
yep.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that City Council approve the certificate of appropriateness for the new construction to install new projecting metal balconies measuring 5 by 10 at 10 North Market Street, and 12 balconies to be placed on the building's east elevation facing North Market Street, and 3 balconies to be placed on the north elevation facing West Grant, per submitted plans and proposed materials, and this work meets the Secretary of Interior standards number 1, 2, 9, and 10.
Any comments? Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All right, motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Since they are a recommending body and there's no demolition involved, this one would go straight to City Council on September 12th I'll send you the motion language and the date and time tomorrow.
Is that something we attend?
You don't absolutely have to be there, but it's probably good to at least have one person.
Okay.
You don't have to show your presentation, but just in case there are questions from either city council or audience members.
Okay.
All righty?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other business on our end? Okay, Suzanne, I don't think we need assignment.
If South Prince goes to committee, although it's not, even if it goes to committee, I don't think it's something that I need a representative there. Lombardo's is still scheduled to go to committee on September 5th. Steve Funk
Steve
was
is
willing to
attending
do that, and I'll check with him that
Okay.
he's still willing.
Okay.
I mean, I could attend for South Prince, but I think I have a hard meeting.
Because of Labor Day, it get moved. Yeah, okay. Well, let us know, then be available if necessary. Okay, I think that's it. Motion to adjourn unless there are any objections. 6:26.